Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Writers Chat. We're so glad that you're either here with us live or that you're watching the replay. We meet every Tuesday morning, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, and so we're always glad to have as many of you with us as we can, and we really appreciate those of you who pick up the replay later. On Writers Chat, we talk about all things writing, for writers, about writers. We are just a writerly group today. Well, let me say first, I'm joined. My name is Johnny Alexander. I write fiction. I'm joined by my co-host, Jean Wise, who writes nonfiction, Bethany Jett, writes nonfiction, and three special co-hosts today. Jan is with us, Tracy is with us, and Norma is with us. And we're going to be talking about the writers' conferences that we love. And so these are conferences that we've been to before and that have just made a difference in our own writing lives and writing journeys. And we're going to share a little bit about those with you guys. So Norma, we're starting with you, and you're going to be talking about the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writers Conference and the Writers Police Academy.
Yes. Last year was the first time I went to a writers conference, and I went to the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference. And it was, to say amazing is just, everybody kind of says that, but it really was. I met much of the Writers Chat staff there. Got to meet Bethany and Tina and a whole host of people from Writers Chat.
Yay.
And they were such a blessing. I felt so at home. And Tina was actually the first one that I met and offered to pray for me and help me if I needed anything. And that was just extra special. The thing that I liked about the Blue Ridge Writers Conference, which let me say it's at www.blueridgeconference.com, is that my impression overall was there was all these amazing, well-known professionals in the writing world, writers, publishers, everything. And yet they had so much joy pouring into the people there. And I had never seen anything like it. I had been to the facility where this conference is held and for many different things. And honestly, for like spiritual retreats, and this writing conference was the most spiritual thing I'd been to in all the years I'd been there. And I had somebody say to me, well, because a friend of mine, I was texting, well, you should come. You should be here next year. And she said, but I'm so afraid I'll spend all that money and then I won't write. And I told her, if I don't ever write another word, it was still worth every penny.
Oh, wow.
The encouragement, the spirit that's there. I didn't hear a negative thing. Now, I know other people said they did. I did. I mean, it was just, maybe my head was in a bubble. I don't know, because it was first time conference, but it was really wonderful. And I believe the theme for them this year is changing the world one writer at a time.
Nice.
And the dates are May 19th to the 23rd, and that's in North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina, at a conference center called Ridgecrest. And the fees for the program are $350 per person. The accommodations there on the premises range from $70 to $100 a night, depending on which accommodations you choose. And then there's a $145 meal ticket, which covers 12 meals. And they're good meals. You have 3 very stout meals a day. So you definitely get your money's worth.
I love the way you said that.
I think those that were there last year can say yes. They're like,
yeah.
If you walk away hungry, something's wrong. That's all I would say.
Yeah.
And this year they're doing something different. I believe he's a publisher. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry. But his name is Donald Mass.
Oh,
and he's going to stay an extra day. You can do a post conference day. It's $150, and you get a full day's workshop with Donald Mass, and that
Donald
includes a meal.
I'm sorry, Norm, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt.
go ahead.
Donald Mass is a literary agent from New York, and he has written several fantastic books, including Fire and Fiction and another one. I'll get them out in a second. His books on writing fiction are intense and deep and almost crazy hard to understand, but wow, are they worth it. So that is a big deal that he's going to be there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he's going to do that. And then some of the speakers, we don't know who the keynote speaker is yet. At least I'm not. I looked all over the details of the conference and I couldn't find it yet. But some of the speakers are Lynn Blackburn, Lynette Eason. She's a good one. Diane Flagal, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Flagal. Alton Gansey, Tessa Emily Hall, Bob Hostetler, Steve Lobb, Edie Melson, Edwina Perkins, Cindy Sproles.
Nice.
Sorry, I started the page.
Great lineup. Yeah.
Yes. And like at most conferences, at the meals, you can sit at a table with any of the speakers and kind of pick their brain. And the thing I like quite a bit is the friendships that you build, the people that you meet. And there's 2 or 3 from that we're in contact almost every day still because of that conference. And friendships have forged. The other thing I would say is, if this is your first time going to a conference, make sure you have business cards with your picture on it. Yes. Because all these people are meeting hundreds of people every day. At Blue Ridge, I think last year they said it was about 580 people, I'm thinking. I can't remember exactly. So, but it was a large number of people. And, they're seeing all these people every day. And if you just give them a business card with your name on it, they're going to just have no idea who you are.
Right.
The other thing that pardon?
I said that's a very good tip. Thank you. Yeah.
The other thing they've recommended is have your business cards blank on the back, so they can jot a little note about who you are or something that stuck out, that kind of thing. So, because I know several of I have an envelope, and it's like this thick, full of business cards that I collected last year, and I still have them. And some of them are really pretty on the back, but they're glossy and you can't write on them. So that was a couple of tips. Anyway, the other one is Writers Police Academy. Lynette Easton introduced this to me a few years ago at a Christian Writers Conference, or American Christian Fiction Writers local chapter that I had gone to. And it's an actual police academy that you go to for a week, and you learn to write. There are policemen that write, and they teach the classes. And the year after Lynette had told me about this, I was trying to go because it's only a few hours from my house, and they had moved all the way out to Wisconsin, which I live in North Carolina. So that just wasn't feasible. But this year, they're going to be back in Raleigh for a special crime scene investigation class. So if you write mysteries that have any kind of crime scene or anything like that, this is going to be held at a world-class training facility called Seeker. And it will be the conference will be led by some of those people will actually be in classes like we are in training for forensic science stuff. So if that's your niche, which I love it, I'm like, I gotta go. It sounds like it's going to be amazing. The dates so far are August 1st to the 4th, and the theme is Murder Con. And so That's all the information I have. Pricing and all that has not come out yet, which I'm surprised because usually by this time in February, they have all their information out for their conference. But anyway, Heather Graham is going to be the keynote speaker for that, and she's a New York Times USA bestseller with over 200 novels. She's written in pretty much everything: romance, suspense, history, vampire fiction. That's just to name a few. And she has over 60 million books in print.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Amazing. You can send them an email. Their website is not up and running yet for this. I checked it out even for right before we came on, and it just has a picture of like a flyer with the dates, but that's all it has. You can't get any more information. It says it's coming soon, so anyway.
You have the URL for it, the address?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Sorry.
I'll get that for you real quick. Also, you can email them at 2019wpa@gmail.com.
Okay.
And it's the URL is just writerspoliceacademy.com.
Okay.
And so I would love, like I said, this sounds really fascinating, especially if you write crime scenes at all. This way you can very accurately picture your crime scene with the right lingo, with the right procedure, because those of us that are somewhat familiar with police things, when you read a book and it's not right, you're like, this isn't right. They didn't do this. This is the wrong word. So this is a great opportunity, plus being in an actual, CSI training facility.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing that. So it'll be neat. It'll be a lot of fun. So those are my two.
Okay, well, great. Well, I'm going to really, really fast just show the Donald Moss books that I've got. If you write fiction, these are really great. Writing fiction for the 21st century. Fire in Fiction. You see that one. And this is his latest, The Emotional Craft of Fiction. Really, really good book. So if you get a chance to hear Donald Moss, and you write fiction especially, I highly recommend you get to do that. Okay, well, moving on. Jan, Florida Christian Writers Conference.
Hi, I went to my first writers conference in 2013. The Florida Christian Writers Conference just opened their arms and welcomed me in. I had no clue what I was doing. And I got to meet Bethany there. That was her first conference too. This year, it's March 6th through the 10th at Lake Yale Conference Center. And like Blue Ridge, the food is wonderful. And if you don't get enough, it's your fault. It's really good. I couldn't believe how many different agents, publishers, editors were available to talk to, and they're so nice and so helpful. And if they're not able to help you, they recommend somebody else that's at the conference that can work with you or give you contact for somebody else that might help you better. This year's speaker is Liz Curtis Higgs, New York Times bestselling author. I'm disappointed I don't get to go hear her this year, but she's really sweet, and it would be really nice to hear her. There's tons of workshops. There's continuing classes that meet once a day throughout, which you get a more in-depth study on a topic that you need help on. The registration, I believe they still have some openings. You get discounts if you register before October and December. A double occupancy from Wednesday through Sunday is $825. If you just come on Thursday through Sunday at 7:25. And they have different things that help you with your discounts for their scholarships, discounts on getting the flash drive, and free breakfast with the speaker if you sign up by a certain date. It's one of the smaller conferences, but it's been growing. It's not, you don't walk in and feel so overwhelmed because there's thousands of people there. It really helps that you can just walk in and not feel totally lost. I'm not good at looking at crowds and judging numbers, but I know it's comfortable, and you always end up meeting somebody when you first get there that can guide you along. And I know I met a few that first time that really helped me understand what to do, where to go, and have become good friends. And in Word Weavers chats and stuff together, which has been very helpful. I had heard secular conferences where someone was told, "Why are you writing? You're terrible." And I was like, you don't get that at the Christian conference. They're as supportive as can be, and they really want to help you. So I really love it, and I'll put the conference link in the chat for you.
Could you
I
say it
highly
out loud?
recommend it.
Could you say it out loud too for the recording?
Sure.
It's kind of a different one.
Okay, it's word-weavers.com/FloridaConference.net.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jan. That Florida Christian Writers Conference is, of course, a great favorite of Writers Chat because that's where Jeannie and I met in 2007, and that's where Bethany went to her first conference, and it made such a difference. So, yeah, we love Florida Christian Writers Conference, big fans. All right, thank you, Jan. Tracy, Kentucky Christian Writers Conference.
Yeah, okay. The Kentucky Christian Writers Conference is held in Elizabethtown every June. This year it's going to be June 20th through the 22nd. They've been around quite a while. I know it's over 20 years. I don't think they've quite hit their silver anniversary yet, but it was the dream of Kate Thomas, who is one of the loveliest ladies that you could ever want to meet. And I have just enjoyed it every year. I've been going since at least 2009. I found my folders back that far.
Wow.
And they were one of the first conferences that allowed me to present workshops there. So I've attended every year except one I had to miss because my mom was in the hospital. But it's a close-knit, I would call it a small to medium-sized conference. They say their attendance is around 100. Kind of, it's up and down every year, but that's one of the things I love about it is you see the same people a lot of times year after year, and then you meet new friends too. Mm-hmm. But it's just so close, and the people are what I love. I love the godly people that I meet there. They're so sweet. Now this year they're going to have a new venue. They're going to be at Elizabethtown Community and Technical College. They've met they've held it at a church last several years, so this will be a new venue for them. And they don't have their schedule up yet. They do have the faculty listed and the workshops, but I have insider information, so I got a list of the schedule today, and it pretty much follows what they've done the last few years. On Friday, they have a meet and greet, and they have some snacks, and then they have entertainment. But last year they started something kind of new. They called it the pitching practice. And they allow you to bring either a one sheet or just your idea for a novel and sit down with some of the editors. Just take a few minutes to sit down and pitch your idea and get a little bit of feedback. So that was kind of nice for fiction writers. But of course they have workshops for all different kinds of genres, all different kinds of things. Their theme this year is Spread Like Wildfire.
Oh, I like
that. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And I know they're talking about the gospel because that's our main goal in anything we write, whether it's obvious or not, is we're spreading the gospel. And their keynote is Susan May Warren, and I cannot wait to hear her. I've always heard about her novel what is it, Rocket Novel Academy, and her My Book Therapy. I've always heard of those. And of course, she's published over 65 books, and she's won all kinds of awards: the Christie Award, the Rita Award, the ACFW Carroll Award, Reader's Choice Award. And she's written 2 books specifically for writers, which I want to take a look at. And one's called How to Write a Brilliant Novel, and then the other one is a story equation, which is a beginner writer's workbook, is what they called it. So I think those will be very helpful. I'm sure she'll have those there. And as far as other presenters, Carlton Hughes is a college professor, and every year he does a workshop, an early morning workshop on the first day called So You're a Newbie. He is such a hoot, and I know everybody loves that. I've heard people come back out of that saying, I'm ready to do this now. I know what to do. And if they've never been to a conference or never been to this conference in particular, then they feel confident starting out. And then we've got, like I said, we've got quite a variety this year. I can actually talk about this from an attendee's perspective and a faculty member's perspective. And this year I will be a faculty member. And so I'm presenting 3 workshops there on writing for Chicken Soup for the Soul, critiquing, and on query letters.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, that'll be fun. Last year I did my query letter workshop first thing in the morning. It was one of the early bird specials, and that's what they'll have me do again this year. And it was well attended and seemed to be helpful. And then we've got there's also, I think this is something maybe a little bit new too, is they have a writer who's going to do a workshop, a 3-hour workshop for teens, an interactive workshop. So I think that's great to reach out to the younger people. And then we've got workshops and devotions I know Rhonda Dragomir is going to do one on websites, and then another one about using MS Word, which she is such an expert. And I tell people, if you think you know MS Word, you don't know MS Word until you get Rhonda's workshop. And then, of course, it's directed this year by Hallie Bridgman, who is a prolific fiction writer. And she and her husband, Greg, are both going to be doing workshops. There's one on audiobooks by Gene Rowley. I've never met him before, so I think that'll be something really unique. And then they've got poetry, screenplays, songwriting, speaking. So, in addition to some of the normal workshops that you would find at conferences, they're going to have quite a variety of things that are in the writing arena, not necessarily writing like you think writing a book, but in that arena. So I think it's going to be really interesting this year. And then they've got agents and editors on staff. They've got one coming from Nelson Books. So I think that's great. Their registration fee, you can still get in on the early bird special until the end of March, and that is $199. Then after that date, the full tuition will be $249. But if you bring a group of 10 or more, you can get a group discount, and that will be $224 per person. So that's a little bit of a discount there.
Did you already give the dates, Tracy? Or
June 20th through the 22nd.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah. This year it's a Thursday through Saturday. And usually Friday is all day from early morning. And I think they even have a night owl session, a couple of night owl sessions after dinner. And then Saturday usually ends up about 3 o'clock. I didn't check this year's schedule, but about that time. So everybody can kind of get home. So, but it's a full conference. But as I say, it is. It's busy.
Wow.
But you make up close friends, and I just love the godly atmosphere because as soon as you walk in, it's Jesus first and writing second. And
go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
Well, I was just going to ask you to say the internet address on the recording. So
okay, it's www.ky for Kentucky christianwriters.com.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else?
I think that's it.
That's a lot. That they are really jam-packing it. I'll tell you. Wow.
They do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to really quick talk about the Mid-South Christian Writers Conference. If I don't lose my voice, if I do, Tracy can take over. Because we are both on the committee for that conference. Mm-hmm. So the Mid-South Conference is March 15th and 16th this year. It's a Friday and Saturday. mainly Saturday. The Friday events are extra, except for the Friday night meet and greet, which we just love to have everybody come to. It's held in the Memphis area at the Collierville First Baptist Church, and our theme this year is God's Plan, My Pen, based on Jeremiah 29:11. Our keynote speaker is Bob Hostetler. He's an agent and author in his own right, and if you've ever heard him, he's just hilarious, plus being very inspirational and encouraging. So we're excited to have him. I'm also really excited to say that some of our Writers Chat people are going to be there. Rhonda Dragomir is doing her Microsoft Word for Writing Wranglers workshop. Victoria Durstock will be there to talk about building a platform 101, building platform 101. My longtime critique partner, Patricia Bradley, who writes fantastic romantic suspense, and I are doing a workshop on creating characters with personality and pizzazz. Mm. And then we're going to have some, and there's other workshops too. There's 9 altogether. You get to choose 3 to attend. We're going to have mentors there, including Julie Gwynn with the Seymour Agency, Kathy Pretzinger with Mantle Rock Publishing, and Deborah Butterfield with Crossover Media, and a few others too. So ours is just, it's very reasonably priced, $80 before February 23rd, $90 after that. It includes lunch. We do have the 2 Friday sessions. Tracy Crump is going to be there with Andy Lehman doing Stirring the Pot, writing for Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I have the privilege of doing a workshop called Opening Scene Critique, which we limited to 6 people, and we already have our 6. So that was really cool that filled up pretty quickly. We are known for our Southern hospitality. You are going to probably see more food there than you see at most other conferences. I mean, just throughout the day. But and of course, we have the bookstore, and we have all those different kinds of fun things like most conferences. And we started out, I think, our first year. This is our 6th year with about 50 people. Is that right, Tracy? Mm-hmm. Tracy's the registrar, so she knows this numbers. We have more than doubled in the past 6 years. I think we, in fact, doubled like at the 3 or 4 year mark. So how many people did we have last year, would you say?
We had 130 registered attendees. And that does not include the faculty. Mm-hmm.
So we really are growing. So we're almost tripling then our attendance. So we're a growing conference, very casual, very low key. You get to really get a chance to meet and talk to people in it, and it really is just a fun time. So that's www.midsouthchristianwriters.com for more information. And now, Bethany, it's your turn.
Get your pens ready.
What do you got there, Jeannie? What'd she hold up? Oh.
I will be mentioning that. All right. Hey, everybody. Okay, can I just say it was amazing to listen to all of, I love this because we got to hear about all the different conferences and like the heart behind them and the different things that you're doing. And I just thought it was fantastic. So it's been a privilege to serve as faculty on several conferences listed. I know I've been invited to Mid-South and had an amazing time, and you guys are hospitable for sure. The food was awesome. And then Florida Christian Writers Conference, I've taught there, teaching there this year, and that was where I got my start. And I was on the leadership team for Blue Ridge for a couple of years, which was also a privilege. So this is fun. I love writers conferences. Like I said, get your pens ready because I've got a lot to tell you. So, Florida Christian Writers Conference is where I met my best friend and co-author, Michelle Medlock Adams, and Blue Ridge is where I met my agent and business partner, Kyle Young, and we started Serious Writer Incorporated. And our goal is to, we have lots of goals, but one of them is to help support writers year-round by doing 1-day and 3-day events so that you can constantly get that kind of camaraderie in between other conferences as well. So, the 2 conferences that we do that are the 3-day events are the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference and the Ohio Christian Writers Conference. And I have all the links that I can put in the chat. And just to give you some dates, North Carolina is August 8th through 10th this year. And Ohio is November 7 through 9. And they will be at the same locations as they were last year. Both churches invited us back. They wanted us to come. And we're excited about that. And then the one-day events that we have coming up, I'll just list the city and the date. We had Tampa earlier this year, and it was amazing again. And we will be in Pensacola. Vicki Deerstock will be with me there on February 16th, which is this Saturday. So this is the final week for registration for that. Tallahassee is March 23rd. Lexington, South Carolina is April 6th. Then we are going to BEA in New York, which is a big conference in the general market. It's the Book Expo Association, Booksellers Association. I don't know, I'm messing up the acronym there, but we're really excited to do that. And that's where we're going to have our big contest winners will fly in and eat dinner with us for our big New York contest awards. And then, so this is the first time we've announced this. I don't have details yet, but we will be in Nashville. It looks like June 8th. We have been dying to get there. And so we've got a date set for a one-day event. We're sponsoring the Right to Publish conference, which is an amazing, amazing conference run by Lynn Johnson. There's the postcard. I love the graphics this year. And that's June 19th through 22nd in Wheaton, Illinois. And then North Carolina conference will be in Middle Georgia, looks like October 5th, and Chicago, October 12th, Indiana, sometime around there, and Ohio, November 7th through 9th. And we're sponsoring the Windsor International Conference in Canada. So you can always find an event with us.
Makes me tired.
Bethany, do you have one website that you can share where people can get links to all these rather than trying to give every single one separately?
Yes, SeriousWriter.com. And you can go to SeriousWriter.com/tour, and that will give you like a list of all of them. And I can put that in here. Here's the, anyway, so that's exciting. And so pricing wise and culture wise, we wanted to merge a pastors conference, like a youth ministers conference, pastors conference experience, like the Orange Conference, with a writers conference. So Kyle and Cody, who's on our team, Vicky's been in ministry, my husband and I were in youth ministry. We've all been to those conferences forever. And we thought, what if we can merge the two ideas? So our conferences are a little bit different. There's a lot of humor. There's a lot of skits. There's a lot of craziness that happens on stage, but it's super fun. And then we try to go deep dive into what's going on in the industry right now. And so with Kyle being my business partner here, he is an agent that works in the CBA, Christian Booksellers, and the ABA, American Booksellers, general market is usually what we call it. And so when he goes to these conferences and as he connects with editors all the time, he's constantly hearing like what they're actually looking for right now. So every time we go to these events, we kind of arm up those of us who are teaching with what exactly is, you know, on point, on trend right now. What are they looking for? And so we can give like just really up-to-date information that way. And then a lot of us do, you know, try really hard to do good at marketing and keep up with all of that too. So you're just getting a lot of good stuff. We want people to feel like a family when you're at our events.
Some questions in the chat. I'm not going to be able, I've missed some of them. I know. When is BEA? Somebody asked. Is that in?
BEA is May 28th through 31st in New York City. And we are all attending. Our team is attending that so that we can meet with editors and be able to also, you know, and also one thing we do is we like to leverage our connections. And so the more of us that are out there actually meeting with the editors and the publishers, and then that's leveraging the connections for you. So if you do a 15-minute pitch with me, I might know, okay, I know this editor is looking for this. Like, I know you need to send it there. That's what we kind of like to do with people as well, is kind of how can we help connect you to where you need to go? And we keep our pricing really, really low for conferences. There are 3 days for the North Carolina and the Ohio. And it's a Thursday night to Saturday afternoon. We have a lot of pastors that come. Kyle is a full-time pastor still too. And this allows them to be able to come to the conference and get home in time for church. And the feedback that we've received is that the families, people who have families like it as well, because Saturday night they can either stay an extra night at their hotel and just kind of like take it all in. But they still have Sunday, like to travel if they need to as well. So
also then people are begging you to come to their own hometown. So tell people what you kind of, about that process, about how you choose where to go and how that works.
Okay. So we have a Facebook group for we call them the tour planners and hosts. And so anyone who's interested, I can give you a link to go into there. And so we do a lot of marketing through like Facebook, LinkedIn ads, and things like that, so that we're kind of really targeting the area around the city that you live. And even so, we're also testing targeting businesses, people who are employees of businesses that might be attractive, like in our target demographic as well, to kind of help with that. And typically we're seeing about a 50-50. 50% of the attendees are the people that our host on the ground knows, either through putting flyers out at the bookstore or the library. Sometimes they have radio connections and will come on and do a radio interview. We just did that with Tallahassee. So we kind of partner up on the marketing end, because being grassroots, like you're in the city, like the writers groups that are there. And then the other 50% are new people usually to us, and that's coming on our end, like from our ads and newsletters and things like that we do. So we like to get about 20 people. That just makes sure we can keep the cost. We like to keep the cost super low for the event. And we pass out the savings to you guys. So like no one's making a ton of money off these conferences, but we usually like to get a church that is either a church or an event location that is either free or a small donation. And that's a huge chunk of conference costs is the venue. And so by partnering with people who kind of have the same mission that we do, is to bring, we are Christian and clean. So we do Christian writing and clean general market writing, which is another differentiator for us as a company. So people who kind of are behind that mission of having more clean writing out in the world, that you'd like to partner with us, and then that savings gets passed on to the attendees. And I can talk about pricing too. So if you want us to come to your city, we just have to look and see like who can get there and when, and how many people you think that you can bring, because we know we can bring another probably half of that on our end.
A lot of information there. Well, we have a lot more to go. Jeannie still has conferences to talk about, and I know some of you have told me that you want to talk about your favorite conferences too, so we want to get to as many of them as possible. So Jeannie, I'm turning it over to you because you've got 3 that you want to talk about.
Well, I didn't know if Bethany wanted to say anything more about Right to Publish.
Sorry.
Right to Publish?
Yeah, I think that was on your list. I didn't know if you mentioned it, but I didn't know if you wanted to say anything more about that.
So we partnered with Lynn Johnson last year to sponsor. We sponsored a contest for them and also do some other kind of marketing things for Right to Publish. We've partnered. It is I will tell you, I've been to a lot of conferences, and last year was my first time at Right to Publish, and I got to teach. But the culture of Right to Publish was different than any conference I had been to so far. I left as a faculty member, really not being able to attend a lot of classes, feeling like I was a writer again. And that's what I told Lynn. The people that they bring in for the editors and the agents, just the community that you're feeling. They have a lot of returning people who are also professionally published or either self-published or traditionally. And so it was a different feel than I had experienced so far. So I'm excited to be back, and I definitely recommend the Right to Publish conference. It was amazing.
When is it? Do you have the date, Jeannie, with you, or Bethany, one of you?
June 19th through 22nd.
Okay, great.
Bethany's picture's in the brochure.
I'm so proud of her.
Just came in today's mail. But anyway, that was one of my first big writers' conferences, was Right to Publish, and I learned so much. And I agree. And one other thing, it's on Wheaton College campus, so you could go find the desk of C.S. Lewis, the wardrobe. Oh, that adds a whole other culture to it. So anyway, I have to go quick because I have to tell 3 people. I have 3 conferences I want to tell about, and these are totally different from what you've heard so far.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to see if I'm not getting it. So I'll add them here in a minute. The 3 conferences that I want to talk to, I do have the links, so I will put them into the chat and try to remember to say them. I have to look someplace else to say them. Okay. First one is Writing for Your Life, and I believe it's writingforyourlife.com. And it is by Brian Allen. And I just ran across this one a couple of years ago, and I'm going to try to get the website here real quick and copy it. I can't do 2 things at once, you guys. I'm just going to, and then I'll add them later. I'm sure. Yeah, or Melissa gets them. But anyway, what I like about that is Christian, but it's a little bit more the mainline Christian. It's Barbara Brown Taylor, Frederick Buechner, Robert Benson, a little bit more, I would say, mainline Christian writers, which you don't always find at the other, and it's a whole other different set of speakers and writers that are just delightful, but they're not at what we would see at Blue Ridge and Florida Christian Writers Conference. So it just adds a freshness to it on that way. Their conference, they meet at a variety of places. The one I'm going to attend this year is in Holland, Michigan, which is north of Chicago, but in Michigan, so you don't have to mess with the traffic of Chicago, which suits me fine. It's May 21st to 23rd. And again, a variety of speakers. I went back this morning and tried to find the theme and the keynote addresses, and one of them is an artist, and it's Makoto Fujimori. I don't know how to, but I couldn't find their themes. I know I've seen what they were addressing because it was really intriguing. The other one is Tish Harmon Warner, and I wasn't familiar with either of them, but they also have Marilyn McGuire, who I have several of her devotional books, which I really like, and Sarah Author, who's a nonfiction Christian writer. And I just really like it. And they do a lot of talking up-to-date things like how to self-publish in the 21st century. No, how to write a book on spiritual formation for the 21st century. So they're really kind of on the cutting edge, I think, of some topics. And that's the other reason I like them. I attended this one 2 years ago, and I really liked it. So I'm going to swing back around. Brian takes these classes a little bit similar to the Serious Writer one to different places. I know there's one in New Jersey in June 10th through the 12th. There's one in Indy, March 12th through the 14th. They've been in New York City, and they've been on the West Coast for at least one that I know of. So he has a tendency to go, he lives in New Jersey, so he has a tendency to be the two coasts, and then he tries to do a Midwest one. So that's Brian Allen, Writing for Your Life. He has a really good newsletter, I will also tell you, that comes out once a week, where he'll connect you with resources and little mini video interviews, which sometimes is really good. So I like getting his newsletter too. So keep that in mind. And it's one I'm going to attend again, and pretty reasonable. I forgot to look up costs. Seems like to me it was $299 for the conference, and it's a 3-day conference, so that's really reasonable. Plus, you stay on the campus of, well, I don't remember, Western Theological Seminary or something like that. You stay on the campus there, and it's like in a mini hotel type thing, and so very reasonable costs and halfway decent food. The second one I wanted to tell you about is a secular conference, and it's called the Irma Bombeck Writing Conference. That website is www.humorwriters.org, I believe. Let me look real quick and see if I can be sure I have that one down. Humorwriters, plural.org. And the couple of key things to tell you about this one. It is secular. So I was shocked a little bit about what Jan said, because like what someone else said in the chat, my experience on secular one has never been like she has. I find writers are writers and pretty supportive all the way through. I have never had that experience what Jan had on that. But I really like the Irma Bombeck one. It is not Christian, and they do talk humor, so sometimes the humor is a little edgy. And it's also for people who write human interests. So especially if you're a columnist or into the newspaper writing or do some interviewing. I went that originally because I was working for our local paper and did it for the humor. I wanted to build in more humor into my own writing personally, but I also wanted to develop interview skills and stuff. So what the key on that one is, it meets every other year on the even years. So we have missed 2018 because it's usually in April. So I do have the dates for 2020, and it's April 2nd through the 4th in 2020. That meets in Dayton, Ohio. Irma Bombeck graduated from the University of Dayton and worked originally in the newspaper in that area. It is inspirational. It is such a fun, and again, totally different. If you're interested in building, it was rated by Writers Magazine, rated it as the best writers conference in Ohio. No offense, Serious Writer, but it is unbelievable. I'm going to tell you a trick, though. If you're the least bit interested in it, they take about 350 people, and they get maxed out because they hold it at the University of Dayton. And you get on their mailing list, because literally they'll open it up. They'll say registrations open it up June 18th, and it will be closed June 19th. less than 24 hours. I saw it one time close in 3 hours. So I literally was ready. I was on, it was opened at noon and I registered. I learned the trick of making the hotel reservation. Usually you could find out the hotel and the dates several weeks before, and I already had my hotel reservation because it'll close out. It is just an amazing, and people from all over the United States. They have had Dave Barry and Art Buchwald. They've had Amy Efron and Connie Schultz. I love Connie Schultz. So she writes for the Cleveland newspaper, but she's nationally known. And I just love her writing. Very crisp, very good writing on that way. So that's the Irma Bombeck Writers Conference every other year, but book early if you want to go. And it's if you're working about humor or human interest, I would put it on your list. And then the last one I'll talk about is the Bloggy Conference, and it's BOLGGY Conference. And if you go to Facebook and look for a group, the Bloggy Con, their Facebook page, and that's about the best way because they have not updated their website for next year's conference. They meet about mid-September. What is fun and different? I wanted to go as a blogger just to learn more things about blogging, which you do. But what is so unique about this conference is it is held at Cedar Point, Ohio. Yes, home. Yeah, you've been there, haven't you? My grandkids are over here. They go, we go. And it becomes such a family event. I am not joking you. Last year, the registration was $109 for the weekend. Friday started Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. For that $109, I got that paid for my classes, paid for 2 breakfasts and a lunch, and we came Friday night and we got the tickets. We get last year 6 3-day passes to Cedar Point.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
It is unbelievable. So what the grandkids that are driving me crazy today, all go, and we get a suite at the Hotel Breakers, so we're staying right there. So that does cost additionally. But we go in Friday night. It's Halloween weekend. We enjoy all that Friday night. They get in free then. On top of that, we get a $25 gift card for Cedar Point, so that helps buy food for the weekend. And then I go to classes Saturday from like first thing in the morning to about 4 in the afternoon. Then I meet them back up in the park, or they're swimming at the pool, they're at the hotel, whichever way. And then we go in and enjoy it. I get to enjoy it in the evening. And then Sunday, the workshop goes through the morning to probably about noon, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock. And then sometimes we go into the park. Last year we went back into the park for 3-4 hours before we headed home. It's about 2 hours from us from there. But it is unbelievable the cost effective is, and so you learn and you connect and you learn a great deal about blogging on top of it. So it becomes a family weekend. So I had to tell you, if you're a blogger, try to find a blogging conference sometime. It again is something totally different, but it's fun to learn. So there you go. That's my list, Johnny.
Okay, well, somebody asked in the chat, this is a general market kind of conference. I mean, it's not.
Blogging conference. I will tell you, most of them, 99% were women. Most of them, there were some faith-based. I'm a faith-based blogger. Most of them were lifestyle bloggers, foodies, bloggers, mom bloggers. There's a whole bunch of travel bloggers there. So it was kind of fun. I just kept picking their brains about where to visit the West, So I would say that's the general blog focus of that. Not too much writer. Some of you do writing focused blogs, so rare do I see that.
Okay, that's great. I mean, that's a whole different kind of thing to get into, but it might be worth your while, especially if you can take your family to Cedar Point and make a vacation too. So there you go.
I'll try to get those links and put them in while you guys keep talking.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk just a minute about the American Christian Fiction Writers Conference, and then we want everybody, and in fact, while I'm talking, you can start coming back on, because I know some of you have conferences that you want to talk to. We've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you to please keep it really, really brief. Make sure you give us the URL so that people can get more information. And
And if they can't get on, put it in the chat.
yeah, somebody will help you. So
And we'll have to invite you back to come back on.
we'll get you back on. So ACFW, American Christian Fiction Writers. If you write fiction, this is the primary fiction conference for inspirational fiction. It's the primary conference for you. It is big. It's probably 500-600 people or more. It's more professional, has a more professional atmosphere than a lot of the smaller conferences that you might have gone to in the past. But it is terrific, and it is a good way to meet with editors and meet with publishers and to meet with other novelists and aspiring novelists. This year it will be September 26th through 29th in San Antonio, Texas, at the Hyatt Regency at the Alamo. The keynote speaker is Frank Peretti, who has been around for a long, long time, very well known. Other information still to come. They don't have their workshop and stuff and all that together yet. Dress is business casual. There's a former banquet with the Gala Awards events. It truly, truly is an amazing conference. It can be very overwhelming. The first time I went, I just was like kind of, the deer in the headlight look the whole time. But it definitely is worth attending if you're wanting to be an inspirational novelist. The website is acfw.com/conference, so you can find more information there. So, who I know, raise your hand if you want to talk about a conference, and I will just try to call on you, okay? And I will ask you to, I know you're excited and you want to talk about it forever, but please keep it brief. We've got about 7 minutes. So, Brandy, I saw your hand come up real quick.
Yeah, I wanted to share about Renew. It is a retreat for Christian writers and speakers in New England. There's not a lot for Christian writers in New England, so this is kind of a special thing. It's been around for, I think this is about the 7th year that it's going, and it is happening in West Hartford, Connecticut on October 4th through the 6th, and it is run by Lucinda Seacrest McDowell and Rachel Britton. Last year they had Bob Helstetler as the keynote, and Cynthia Ruchti was there as well. She's an agent. They've had Cecil Murphy in the past. So they bring in some people that are really great for writers and speakers to learn from. They have Tessa Ashfar. She was a co-director for a while. She's back this year. She wasn't here last year. But it's going to be a really great thing. It's held at the Holy Family Retreat Center, I think it is. But what's unique about it is that it's not just a teaching atmosphere. It is also a place where you can go and just retreat. They encourage you to attend the classes, but they also encourage you to sit and write and to reconnect with God and remember what it is that you want to write about, why you want to write, why God has called you to write. So there's a really deep spiritual connection there. So it's not just all pummeled with a bunch of information. You really get a chance to connect with other people, connect with God, and ground yourself back in your writing. And I'll tell you, this conference or retreat really was really responsible for bringing me out from a very traumatic time in my life where I couldn't even really talk to people at all, to returning back to writing and being able to open up again. And it was just last retreat that I went to in October that finally really healed me. So this year I'm able to actually speak again, write again, really turn back to editing, and just go back to where I've not been able to go for a good, 10 years now. So I really recommend this. It's great that it's in New England. There's Friday through Saturday with an optional Thursday. If you want to come a little bit early and just sit and write, they have reserved desks so that you can just go and spend quality writing time. And the price is, I think, $4.99 for Friday through Saturday, and then it's, I think, an extra $85 if you want to come in on Thursday. But it's pretty unique. It's renewwriting.com if you want to check it out. And they have all the speakers listed up there. Who they have? They have this year. They have Jane Rubietta. She's international conference speaker and author, and Margot Starbuck. And they have Kathy Goki coming.
Oh, wow.
Lori Rolleveld, she's always there. Heidi Chevrioli just run a award last year for her book. Actually, it might have been this year. I'm losing track of my time.
Yeah,
No,
I think
it was
it's
last year. It was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah,
She
it was
writes
last-
amazing fiction. Heidi does. So yeah.
Yeah, and so does Tessa. So really, really great people to be around. It's kind of a smaller conference, and there is a limit. I think, like, don't know the exact number, but it's usually under 100 that come. So it's intimate. When you see people there, you get to really connect and talk with them. So I really encourage you, if you're up in the New England area or want to come visit, check this out because it's worth your time.
I'd love to go to New England. That sounds wonderful. Okay, who else? Hands? Rachel. Schmoyer.
Yep, I wanted to share about Greater Philly. It's from August. This year it's August 8th through 10th. And the website is philadelphia.writehis.answer.com. That same Write His Answer also has one in Colorado in the spring as well.
All right. Well, thank you. Anyone else? Other hands? Annette. You got to unmute.
Okay, I unmuted just in time. There's a little catastrophe behind me. Okay, hang on. Okay, so I'll talk about the Montrose Christian Writers Bible Conference, or Montrose Christian Writers Conference. I'm sorry, hang on. If it falls down, it's okay, Megan.
Bad box.
Okay, Evan. I'm sorry, they were quiet for a long time. The Montrose Conference is hosted by a conference center. And so the website is, I believe, montrosebible.org or .com. Let me. I had put it in the notes earlier. And the 2019 conference isn't updated on the website yet, but there have been emails from the director, who's Marcia Hubler. So the dates for this year are July 14th through the 19th. And the tuition is really cheap. It's $200, and then it's for staying overnight, it's another $350 to $400. But there's also an RV court if that's something that would interest you. A lot cheaper. It takes place in northeastern Pennsylvania near Binghamton, New York, and it's actually my husband grew up in that school district, so it's I stay with my in-laws, and the kids enjoy the family, and it works out nicely. But it lasts from Sunday until Friday morning. So there's a lot happening Sunday night until Friday morning. Wow. Monday through Thursday, there's a major morning class every day, and then the afternoons are filled with workshops. And then there's some evening activity as well. The conference includes an editorial appointment or several at no charge. And then you can also get a professional critique, which would have the charge. But all the faculty are very great, saying, "Oh, you should contact so and so." And I've attended twice, and I do feel like it's definitely good for writers who are fairly new to writing, or still kind of getting their questions answered. It's a tremendous conference. So Marcia Hubler brings in great faculty, and it's definitely one that I would recommend, though. There are team discounts as well. I'm just seeing if I just wrote down a couple of notes. The other thing I would like to say is, for those of you who write for children, Highlights Foundation, it's related to the Highlights magazine, but the Highlights Foundation puts on conferences year-round for writers, for children's writers, and each with a different focus. I attended one, and it changed my writing. It really helped me to find my voice as a children's writer. And at that point, I actually had already submitted a manuscript for publication. So but I still learned so much there. So Highlights Foundation is another one that I would highly recommend. Yeah, and one other thing not to discount is if you have a local writers chapter and they put on a one-day conference.
You're right.
Those might be just one day long, and it might be a few workshops, but you can still learn a lot and connect with people close to you. I'll be attending one with the Lancaster Christian Writers in Pennsylvania in April. And it just, these little things can still be highly beneficial.
They absolutely can. Thanks for mentioning that. And thanks for mentioning something about children's too, because we had not really talked about any kind of children's conferences. Well, that's all the time we have, but we've got a great surprise. If you want to stay on for the after party, Bethany Jett is going to be talking about her perspective, both as an acquiring editor and a director of a conference. And we have other people in here, like Tina, like I said, or Tracy, has been very involved with the Mid-South Conference and registration. And of course, you know, I'm on that committee too with marketing. And so you want to stay around for that. Thanks again for being here. Thank you for watching the replay. Next week, I believe we're going to have an episode on Evernote with Joyce Glass. So how to use Evernote for your writing. So that should be a really interesting kind of thing to learn about and talk about. So stay tuned for the after party. Otherwise, thank you very much for being with us. And thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Bye-bye.